Alright, we got it. Hey, I'm here with Shannon. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. And Shannon is a published model, not unlike myself. Published on my Instagram, but you're actually published in legit magazines.
Yes.
So that's really cool. How did you get into that?
So modeling was actually an accident. If you would have asked me in high school if I was ever going to model, I would have thought you were crazy.
Okay.
But a friend of mine was going to college for creative studies, actually. She was a year older than me, so we knew each other in high school. My senior year, she was a freshman in college, and she was studying illustration and photography. And when she first started, she was just like, I need people to take pictures of. And I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And so I would shoot with her and just have a ton of fun with it. She, like I said, she was studying illustration. So she combined illustration and photography in what she called illustrative photography. So her photos told a story. It wasn't just, let me take pretty pictures of you.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because the few times that I first started out doing that, I didn't know what to do. It was awkward. Hers, it was always, I was portraying some sort of character. So it was more like acting.
But through pictures.
Through pictures, yeah.
Okay.
So I wasn't actually physically acting, but I was portraying this character. So I was a woman from the 1940s, or I was like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, or you know, something like that. Or I was one time when we did a shoot for like representing Muka, like his art, and so I was this like,
I don't know who that is.
he's
Sorry.
Art Nouveau. He's an old artist.
All right.
So I was representing like a woman that like he would have drawn. So I was being a character, and like I loved it. And so she said, you need to start networking with other people. So she mentioned a site where I could do that, and so I joined it. And I just started working with other photographers, and I just did it for fun, and it continued until eventually I started developing a really strong portfolio, and other photographers that were also really good started reaching out to me, and photographers that had connections and so would get things published, or would just submit stuff that we did that ended up really good that they would submit to different magazines that would get published. And so it just sort of, it was an accident. I just kind of stumbled
That's a great
into it.
accident, holy crap.
I just kind of stumbled into it. I love it, and so it's something that I just do for fun. It's a hobby of mine. Now I get to meet a ton of cool people. A lot of my friends I've met through
That was
it.
a good compliment, thank you for that.
I've met a handful of my friends through modeling, and it's, yeah.
Why don't models smile in pictures? Like, why is it like majority of the pictures you see, like they're not smiling, they look really serious?
I mean, it definitely depends on the shoot you're going for. So like a commercial shoot, you're probably gonna be more smiley.
Okay.
What are you trying to sell? If you're trying to sell sex, then you're probably not going to be.
Probably don't want to be laughing the whole time. Yeah.
Right. If you're trying to sell a product, depending on the product, you might smile. If you're, it depends on the mood you're going for. It depends on what the purpose is. Depends on a bunch of things. Honestly, I don't know why the majority of fashion stuff isn't smiling.
Okay.
I can't tell you the history of that.
Okay. Well, the only reason I ask this is I was telling her earlier, is like the only like real photo shoots that I've ever been on is when we're just like, we just somehow find like some graffiti art, and then someone with an iPhone goes, hey, let's take some pictures. That's it. I've never actually gone somewhere like pre-prepared and like done this stuff. But the only, like, even when like I was just modeling in front of my iPhone, it's hard. And I didn't think that it would be, because it's the most unusual feeling when someone's like, be yourself. I'm like, how?
Well, yeah, like I said, that's why when I first started modeling that kind of thing, I didn't know how to, I looked awkward in those kinds of photos. It wasn't until I started to realize, a few years in, when I realized that even when I wasn't doing this, like this illustrative photography, this idea where I was being a character, when I started transitioning into fashion, that I realized that there were still elements of like acting that I was bringing to that. I had to like bring this persona to it. So even though I wasn't a character, I was just supposed to be, you know, a beautiful woman posing, I still had to bring this element of acting to that. As far as just like be yourself, yeah, those are a little bit more awkward too. There's still some kind of posing. You have to be aware of your body. You have to be aware of what you're doing. I think when people say that, that, they usually just mean don't sit here and not smile like you usually see. They want you to be natural, which means, you know, smile or don't look so serious or whatever. But yeah, you still want to be aware of your angles and kind of how you're posing or what you're doing so that it's still a flattering photo.
That's a good point you brought up. It's like depends on the shoot that you're going for.
Yeah.
Because I never, look, I'm very ignorant to like all this stuff. The way that I look at it was like you just take pictures until I started doing, I only did it once. Only like one genuine time, which I actually like, someone brought like a real camera. This was like we found a real location. And this is when I was like, I can't do any of this. Cause I talk to people who like do you walk on runways or do you just like
I don't do that. I'm actually signed with 3 agencies.
Holy crap.
Although I've never actually done shoots for them. They made it very clear when I got signed that I was pretty but not thin enough for them to probably find me like fashion photo work. They wanted me for catwalking, but that's not really what I'm into. Like that's not what I like about modeling, so I haven't invested in the time to practice the walk to
They said you're pretty but not thin enough?
Yeah, for like fashion photos. It's okay. It is what it is. I was told one time that I could either gain 10 pounds or lose 10 pounds. Gaining would probably be more fun. I didn't really want to do either.
Yeah.
So I'm signed, but most of my work I do is freelance. So I just network myself.
So they can't actually like see what you look like, but I don't know where you would lose 10 pounds from. Like there's no body fat. Like where would you lose the 10 pounds? Like how would it? I don't know. That's just me. I could probably lose 10 pounds and there'd be a noticeable difference. I don't know where the weight would even go. But, so what? I'm so stuck on that. Like what? Is there like a body weight that people are looking for?
There are sizes. So I'm a size 8, 6, depending on the size of the dress, I'm a size 6. But I mean not size of the dress, dog. Depending on the shape of the dress.
Right.
Depending on how the dress is shaped and where it fits my body, I can be a size 6. Generally up to size 4 is the kind of size that they want for fashion photos. And that's like the high end of that. It's usually going to be more of like a 0 or 2.
There's a size 0?
Yeah, and there's like double zeros too.
What the hell is a double zero?
Very, very small. But yeah, anywhere from like between like above 6 to 10, 12. It's like this mid range in modeling where you're not plus size and you're not the like normal model size. You're kind of this in between. And so while like the photographers I work with don't care if you're talking about like, you know, I mean, high-end fashion photography type stuff.
Can't they just make you look any different from like Photoshop? Like, why do they have to get someone who's like thinner?
I don't know. I'd rather them not Photoshop me thinner, but
I mean, like if that's, but like if you're like only one size off, it's like, does that really make a difference?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think part of it might be like, you know, the clothing that they have available, what size it is.
They can't get bigger. I don't know. That's just. They can't get bigger clothing. Like there's so. Okay.
I don't know. It's not up to me.
That's a good point. Do you ever edit your own photos? Like if you just took them for yourself?
I mean I do photography, so I've done self-portraits. Yeah, I've had some photographers I work with where they very rarely do photographers send raws, but I have a handful of photographers that I've worked with where they'll take the photos and then send me all of the files, and so I speak with them where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do some minor touch-ups to this. Is that okay? And they'll be like, yeah, I trust you, whatever. So I've done stuff like that, but I won't ever take somebody's like photo, and I mean it's art. It's, you know, that's like take somebody's painting and you're like, I want to add some colors here.
Yeah.
They're not happy with that.
No.
Photographers aren't happy with you editing photos or you recropping photos or things like that. So I generally don't do that, even though I can, because I also do photography.
Yeah, because I'd imagine they want it to be the way the artist intended to show everyone.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. What? This is all brand new to me, so I'm just thinking about all that.
Okay.
What is like the craziest modeling story that you can like think of right now? Like, have you gone to like a location and you just met like a dude with a ferret in his coat?
No,
Which is a video I'm not going to be uploading, but
No, I never met a dude with a parrot in his coat.
Okay, he was an interesting guy, I'm not gonna lie to you. But
I'm sure he was. He sounds interesting. I haven't met, like I don't have any interesting stories of who I've met. I mean, I've met great people. I've met a lot of people that have become my friends from modeling. I guess shoot-wise, in 2010 maybe, a long time ago, back when I first started modeling.
Well, you've been doing this for a while right now.
A decade.
Holy crap, okay, good for you.
We shot on the top of the Packard plant. So there was a part of the Packard plant where there was like the top floor and then what would be the roof, but the roof had caved in. So there was the floor and then a bunch of pillars and then this open area. And then the roof caved in over here, so it almost like created a wall on this part of that top floor, whereas this top part of the floor had no roof to it.
Okay.
But there were a bunch of pillars that were there with no roof.
Where did they put you?
So we got onto the roof and had a like what's called a pallet that we leaned from the edge of the roof to the pillar.
Oh my god.
I was in.
That sounds safe.
It wasn't safe at all.
Yeah.
I was in, it was like a white prom dress meant to look kind of like a wedding dress, and so then we did this shoot with me on top of this pillar.
You wanna know what? So,
interesting.
for people who don't actually know what we're talking about, like the Packard plant is like an abandoned car factory. And it's like, I mean, I guess that's the best way to describe it, right? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, it used to be a really big car factory that's abandoned and falling apart now.
And now people like take tours of it and stuff, so for you to be on the roof and you just like lean something up against the pillar and you were like, yeah, let's just go for it.
I do anything to get a good shoot.
Oh my gosh, that's dedication.
I think of the other crazy, I've done all sorts of crazy stuff. I'm trying to think of what else. I've shot in like sub-degree weather. Last winter I shot, it was like negative degrees.
What were you wearing?
It's actually one of the photos that I showed you. I was wearing a
None
gown.
of those photos were full of like coats and layers.
Yeah, I'll show you. One of them? Had,
okay.
Yeah, one of them had a coat and a gown.
Okay, is that the one that you're wearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've done that. I have done hundreds of shoots, so I'm trying to think through them all. Crazy things.
I mean, I've myself done hundreds of shoots as well, but mine are all pretty well documented on the internet.
Yeah, I'll probably think of other things, but that's what comes to mind first.
Do you ever audition to be in like part of photo shoots? Or is that like not a thing with you? Is that even a thing like in
audition? I had last year, it was for video for Homedics. I was reached out to and they asked for my portfolio to pass along to the client, so there was a selection of models that the client chose from, so I was chosen for that. I did audition for, so it's generally my video stuff that I've had, like that I've done auditions for. I did audition for a video that was done for like an artistic videographer company that he was starting up. So
not a music video.
No, I sent in an audition tape for that. It was acting.
Okay.
It was just like a short little clip with a couple of us that were acting out the scene. So I did that. Yeah, a lot of my modeling is just sort of networking, so photographers will be like, hey, I want to shoot with you, or I'll say to the photographer if I want to shoot, I'm interested, and we just sort of meet that way and then sort of plan a shoot. It's not per se auditioning.
Okay, so I do comedy on the side, and I don't like auditioning only because I haven't auditioned enough to like not like it. Like I have to do it more just so I can get better at auditioning. But the one time I've ever auditioned, and listen closely because this is what's gonna no one believes me except people who were actually there, but this did happen. So the way they audition for like comedy, for like commercials or for TV shows or whatever, I was auditioning for it was like some Law and Order show. Okay. And they were like telling me to get
like actual Law and Order.
Yeah, it was a show like it. I don't know if it was the actual one.
Okay.
And look, I'm getting there. Okay, like it's levels to this. Don't worry, I'll get there. And then one of them, like one of the scenes they were filming was, okay, we gotta have like pedestrians like walking this way and that way, and it's like, and there's like a gunman, and he was like has to escape some scene, and they're like, okay, and we have to shoot you.
Like shoot or shoot?
That's it. we have to like
you know, I get
shoot.
shot all the time.
That's true. We have to like shoot you and you have to die. So
that's unfortunate.
Well, I'm so glad to be part of this.
How much are you paying me? Because
right.
this is gonna cost you some money.
And I was like, look, you can't just kill someone like me. Like, I'm a big deal, Shannon. I'm a big deal. But what ended up happening was, so how you try out for that is you try out just standing up on stage and falling.
Off the stage?
No, just collapsing on the stage. No, that would be horrible.
So that's not painful. You know how to break fall, right? Because you're gonna need a break fall.
No. So let's get to that.
Well, I can teach you that after. I practice jujitsu.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, I practice boxing.
Cool.
That's
so
awesome.
You should know how to break fall.
No, usually when we fall, it's just kind of like, you're screwed. Like, if you're ever on the ground as a boxer, you are deep.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be on the ground, but you should know how to fall.
Just take it like a champ. Which is not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Like, usually my neck breaks with fall, but... So, wait, pretty much, what ended up happening that fun audition was, it was just me alone, and it was me and one dude who was like reading from like the script, and there was like two people pretty much just watching us on the stage. And then, so what happened was like it had a gunshot like sound, and then I fell, and then they were like, okay, now wait, and it was like a good 30-second pause, and they were like, you look too alive. I said, what? They're like, no, you seem too alive right now. And I was like, what do you want me to do? They're like, can you not breathe as much? How? How do you? I was like, what do you mean?
If you want to be an actor, you gotta
die for it, yeah.
I can show you how to be dead. I showed one of my photos. I was a dead corpse.
But I wasn't okay, technically I was a corpse.
You were supposed to be a corpse.
I was meant to be, but look, I'm a very lively person.
You gotta, well then that's not your part then. It's okay.
No, I guess not.
It's okay. All parts are not meant for everyone.
Let me play someone alive next time, guys. But I will never forget the day that someone said, no, you can't play a dead body, you look too alive. You gotta stop breathing. I'm like, this is the most strange, like, how did I get to this spot in life? Like,
that's when you ask yourself that question.
I was like, what situation led me to this part?
That's a good point to ask that.
Although I've never risked my life at the Packer plant. Like, see, people who haven't been there, it's a breaking, like it's a broken down, like just large structure. Like, if you jump in the wrong spot, you will fall a few floors down. And you just leaned up and you were like, were you praying the whole time? Or like, were you confident about it?
Yeah, I was fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Like I said, I do what I gotta do to get a good shot.
Look, I got shot, okay, and I can tell you from personal experience. I can't play dead, but I guess you can. I can't. How do you do that? How do you play someone who's dead but be alive at the same time?
So he's talking about a shoot that I did that I had showed him.
Well, yeah, they don't. Sorry, just be more specific about it.
So it actually, that shoot was inspired by a poem I wrote that's called She's Dead.
You write poems too?
Yeah, I do. Like anything creative. I write, I draw, I paint, I do photography, I model.
I'm nothing compared to her at this point.
I'm a Jill of all trades, but so yeah, it was based off a poem called She's Dead. It was a social commentary on society, but...
Society dead?
Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But, so the photographer and I collaborated. We got a freezer, like one of those big freezers people have in basements that was empty. We emptied it out, and we like painted my face all up so that it looked frozen. We had like little ice crystals on me, put like all this stuff in my hair to make it look like it was, you know, wet and frozen, and wrapped me in saran wrap. So that was fun, and then got me into this freezer, and
You seem really happy about this whole story. Anything for a good shot.
I love what I do. Anything for a good shot. I love it. I like creating. I like art. I like this. So yeah. So I was a corpse for this shoot.
In a freezer with saran wrap around you.
Yeah, and like I said, I started modeling because of the acting aspect, and so that's all it was for me, was how do I embody this character? How, like, if I was a dead corpse, what would that be? Like, what?
You'd be dead.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say how would I feel or how would I act, because you'd be dead, but like, what does that entail? And you just get into that that mode of just being that, and so that's how that started. That's one of my shoots that got published. Actually, that photographer, she's a full-time author of horror stories, but she did horror. I always have to enunciate that word, horror photography.
She did not do horror photography?
No, horror.
Horror.
And she used to actually travel to conventions and sell stuff there, and people bought these photos. So people have photos of me as a dead corpse hanging around their house.
That'd be kind of cool to think about.
Yeah, that's fun.
Like, have you ever had someone come up to you and be like, oh, you're that girl from that magazine or something?
No, I haven't had that. Yeah, with that photographer, I also, one of the shoots we did, it was the Princess of Decay, and so this idea of
death is a theme here, I'm noticing.
Losing, only in these 2 shoots, she did horror photography.
Alright, that's true,
there was a lot of death and horror stuff.
I understand.
But, so it was this idea of like losing innocence, and so this was a series, this was kind of that idea of illustrative photography, where it was a series of photos that worked together, and one of the photos that got bought a lot when she sold her photography was me drinking blood from a teacup. Not actual blood, it was fake blood.
I would assume so, yeah.
It's not what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah. Look, that's actually our time.
Alright.
So, wait, what is it? So there's jiu-jitsu, modeling, poetry, photography. What else am I missing?
Drawing, painting. I write novels and short stories.
She's an incredible human being, and her Instagram is going to be linked below. Thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alright guys, stay fresh, stay cool.